So we're on. It doesn't give us an indication that we're actually on. So unless somebody's got LinkedIn keyed up and they can see that we're on, let's pretend that we are. Let's start talking. Welcome everybody to yet another HubSpot Updates with HubStart and Real Inbound. We've got a new face for you today, a face for radio, you might call it, and that's my fellow director in Real Inbound, Richardo. How are you, Rich?
I'm very dented from the very nice
the radio comment.
Yes, I have got a face for radio. It's true. It's a sad state of affairs, but it's undoubtedly
it could be worse. You could be the son I never wanted, James from HubStart. James, I noticed on your job title, James, you're the Chief Executive Officer of HubStart.
Yes, that is correct. Yeah.
Which is outstanding. I love it. I love it. So every week, for those of you who are new or have even turned up, every week we run through the last 7 days of HubSpot updates. We are using an enterprise portal, so there's all the updates. So bear in mind, we'll try to tell you which ones apply to which subscription level. And we'll be covering both updates that have been made and include everyone, so everybody benefits from, but also updates that you might have to opt into, which we'll mention as we talk about the update. So those are called the betas. Those are beta updates. And sometimes you're opted into them automatically by HubSpot, but more often you'll need to opt in. And then you can either opt in as yourself or you can opt in for your whole portal, depending on the impact that update might have for you. Okay, so without further ado, let's swap over to our screen. James, you're on the bottom this time.
Yep.
And now I've completely thrown myself. What's going on? I've got like two mouses. I'll get rid of that. Excuse me. Right. I think I've got it. I think I've got control now. So let's kick off with number one: form styling and layout customization. This says it's got a release impact of medium, and it applies to everybody. So everybody's got this, and it's an opt-in. So you need to join the beta if you want it. James, have you seen this? Have you paid any attention to this so far? Any uses?
Yep. Yeah, I had a quick look at it. I mean, those of you who've used HubSpot forms, you'll know that the customization within the form editor has been very limited up till now. And this is basically just giving you a bit more freedom when you're actually building the embeddable form. So if you want to have something that's kind of standardized, maybe your website isn't on HubSpot, but you want to have a standardized form that you build in HubSpot and then embed into your website, then it just gives you a bit more freedom to do that.
So there's quite a few there's quite a few web form thingies going on at the moment. And as you said, up to now, they've been extremely functional from a data perspective in terms of what you're able to bring in and what you're able to sort of do then within the CRM, which is really powerful. But yeah, less useful. A lot of the marketing teams that we talk to aren't really happy with the amount of control that they have over the form, the look of the form and the color schemes and all that sort of stuff. So for somebody like me who's not terribly creative, it doesn't really matter. But this leads some of our clients to using Gravity forms or any other form, really. There are loads of them, obviously. Rich, you're more CMS inclined than I am. Are there any clients that we have that will benefit from this improved styling and customization, do you think? Oh, you've muted yourself, Rich.
Yes, I did, because James was echoing for me. I'm not sure why he was echoing. I thought it might be something to do with mics, but anyway. So yeah, I think anybody who's using forms will benefit, because there's not just this one update, is there? There's a couple of updates.
Yeah.
I think the multi-part form thing is actually going to be quite useful. One client, I think, immediately who will benefit from this is probably somebody like Aston, who's looking at doing sort of multi-part content-based sign-ups. So that will probably help them. I mean, multi-part forms, I think, are useful in and of themselves, and I think HubSpot have been talking about putting them in for a long time. So hopefully they can get that over the line. And and make that work for them. Whether or not that will actually, I suspect that if somebody needed that really badly, they probably would have, used an alternative form supplier at this point. But obviously, it's a great time now to have a look at the beta and see if it fits into what you want to do,
Yeah.
And then think about maybe going back to HubSpot. And then obviously all your data and all of your submissions and stuff will be more inclined, more in HubSpot rather than having other bits outside. And obviously it makes your data a little bit easier to manage, and especially for things like CRO and stuff like that.
Yeah, cool. James, we're on to generic webhooks. This is one of those that you're automatically enrolled into, low impact, and it affects everybody. So this is free, all hubs and tiers. Do you want to? This is right up your street. Webhooks. Give us an overview of what this is doing.
Yeah. So the idea of this one is, say you're in a situation where HubSpot is the database at the center of your tech stack, at the center of your organization. It's sort of the beating heart of your wider tech stack.
Your customer data platform, or your customer platform, you might call it. Yeah, I like that.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
Then you want things that happen in HubSpot to trigger follow-ons within other systems within the tech stack. So what this basically means is that if you have your main database structure in HubSpot, be that not just the contacts, but also all the wider other types of data that you have within HubSpot, then when something changes in HubSpot, you can then use a webhook to trigger something in another system. So for example, it could be when a deal enters the closed won stage, you could have a webhook listening for that action, and then have that trigger an onboarding process in your project management tool. That would be sort of a common one, but literally anything like that.
Brilliant. I like it. So low impact, but really important by the sound of it. We found that last time we spoke about this stuff. Here's the multi-step forms. Is this what you went on to talk about there, Rich? This is public beta, so you need to opt in, as you can see. And here's the description for you, the product update for you. You can see some nice visuals there. Should you decide you want to use it, so this basically is a form where you add a step or you can remove a step. So depending on the answers in the forms themselves, the forms can build out. One of the things it allows you to do is to not overwhelm your user with forms with loads of information requests. So it's a bit of an issue for marketers, again, particularly, in it, where you want to reduce the friction as much as you possibly can. You want to encourage people to take part in your surveys or your form fill-in so that you can build the picture of information you've got. But we know, ironically, one of the things that puts people off is asking them questions. So multi-step forms is quite good. It's quite powerful in that it allows you to just say to build a picture of somebody rather than presenting the whole thing all in one go. Have you got, say, Rich, I think I talked to this, but have you got anything to add on that one, James, before I move on to the next?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I'm more excited about this one than I am about the styling, to be honest. Or
cool.
Styling does have value. Like there've been many times where I've had clients who have had the same kind of frictions that you have, and they've gone straight off to use type form or jot form or something like that.
Yeah.
To give that more complex form logic. And it doesn't help them from the tracking situation. They're leaving themselves the trade-off of, do I have a form with more friction in HubSpot, or do I move to type form and then I don't have the benefit of easy things like the tracking cookie, the HubSpot tracking cookie, the data flowing so easily, and all of those things around the source. And you're losing that analytics, or you're finding it much more hard to get that analytics accurately. So being able to do that in HubSpot with this multi-step form, get both benefits, that's a huge win for marketers.
Yeah, really good point. Okay, this is one I love. Colored object tags. Here we go.
You would.
It's another one that says it's a relatively low impact. I don't believe that. But this is cool. You're getting it in Starter. So with 20 tags in Starter, Pro with 40 tags, Enterprise up to 80 tags, which is way too many, by the way. But there you go. If you're on Enterprise, you can add as many as you want. What it allows you to do is to really is a visual representation, a visual aid, if you like, for a quick scan of what's going on in your portal with specific data. So, for instance, a deal tag might show you that it's a big deal. You can set the limit. You can say anything over £10,000 counts as a big deal. You've got association tags as well with contacts. So if a contact is or a company rather, I was about to say, is a child company, for instance, you can tag them in that way. But there's loads of different tags that you can use. And now that they're coloured, it's not so much that they're coloured because they've always been coloured, but now that you've got the new limits, you can drop them down into Starter Pro. And as you say, you've got millions of them in Enterprise. It's really useful, especially from an onboarding perspective. Something we do a lot of, obviously, or us three. So it's really useful to show people who maybe aren't so familiar with jumping around the contact record to see things, or being able to find things elsewhere in the UI, because there's quite a lot of stuff that's tucked away in the UI. You can hover over things to make things visible and things like that. These tags are just a bang, big coloured label sat on an object, telling you what you need to know about it. Anybody, any additional views on any of that? So the next one's even better. I think we've lost James. I'm going to say he's not massively bored like he looks there. He's not about to nod off. He's actually we've lost his video feed. So I'm gonna remove him for a sec, and hopefully he'll jump back in. So it's just me and you, Rich, for a sec.
Yeah, it's fine.
So let's jump over back to the updates and talk about CRM and live validation on forms. Now, this is pretty massive. It says a medium impact. It's a public beta, so you have to opt in order to get it to work for you. But this is going to be big. So CRM validation, live validation on forms. So basically, in other words, you're going to get. Oh, here he comes.
Sorry about that.
That's all right. You're back. We just moved on to the CRM and live validation on forms. I'm just saying that this is quite a big deal. This is much bigger than coloured object tags, I think.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, this is really exciting.
So it's the sort of thing that you really need, I think. This is about the data that's in HubSpot. There's data that's coming in through your forms and everything else. You can switch it on and you can switch it off by the look of it, just reading that. And here we go. This is how it works. James, do you want to talk us through how it works?
Can I have your phone?
Yep. So you basically just put some parameters around what kind of data should be acceptable within a certain field, and then it will give you a warning if it doesn't reach that. So yeah, this is going to be super useful for a lot of clients, because obviously, if you get crap in, you'll get crap out. And I know a lot of marketers that have had a lot of pain with the quality of data going into the system and having to correct it post submission. So this is going to be super useful in eliminating that.
And what I like is that live bit. This is not something that's happening in the back end after processes have been undertaken. This shows up in the form itself to show you that you're putting it in incorrectly. It's quite a big step, I think. It's really nice. Rich, anything to add on that one?
Well, just the wider point that clearly HubSpot indicated a few months ago in some of the partner updates that they'd just started this big push into forms. I think there was a lot of the commentary that James just come with there is basically very much reflective of what the broader HubSpot community are feeling, and feel like HubSpot Forms is a little bit behind the times. So it's good to know that HubSpot have doubled down on that and started a project to build it all up. And this is a fairly chunky update. I mean, is there three big parts in here? I think there are. There's validation, multi-step, and then styling and customization. So there's three fairly chunky pieces there. Yeah. And one thinks that's obviously off their prioritized list, and they're obviously working through. So hopefully, HubSpot Forms can go from being good to
functional,
being excellent.
Yeah. It's an interesting point, and just to reflect back on you talking about the customer platform earlier, right? The main advantage of HubSpot when it comes to the tools is that it contains so many of them. But I've always said to customers anyway, James, I don't know about you, but I've always said to customers the point solutions themselves in HubSpot usually aren't as good as something that you would buy that would be a specialist solution, right? So, the social media management would be an example of that. Forms is another brilliant example. So you're gaining the benefit of utilizing the CRM infrastructure. So you use HubSpot Forms, you get the ability to dive really deep. You get an extremely granular view. You can use it with workflows and reporting and things that you can't do with non-HubSpot Forms. But the trade-off always was that they weren't the best piece of kit on the market, and that's why you've always had a balance. Do we integrate Typeform or Gravity or whatever else is, or do we go with the HubSpot ones? Now, as HubSpot partners, obviously we prefer to see HubSpot Forms in use, but it does cause that friction. It does cause a problem for a lot of clients. So these are great developments, I would say. As is the next one, the highly sensitive data. Now, a couple of weeks ago, maybe a couple of months ago now, HubSpot talked about this now as the ability to store sensitive data in HubSpot. And now we're getting into the area of highly sensitive information. It's basically things, as you can see, there's a use case there to store things like social security numbers from an American perspective, health data, diagnosis, and that kind of stuff. So it's an upgrade to the CRM, to the technology, if you like, that allows you to do much more to make the software much more powerful in terms of what it can store, and therefore what you can do with it. And therefore, from a point solution perspective, rather than necessarily having to rely on a vendor from your sector, somebody who works in medical equipment, for instance, from our perspective, Rich, or who works in finance or what have you, who might supply what is in effect an inferior product, but one that meets the criteria. You can now use HubSpot, which is a far superior product, but didn't meet the criteria. So this is another big step forward. There was a lot of excitement in HubSpot land when sensitive data came out, and this is just a big step up on that side of things. James, do you want to add anything on that? Rich, anything?
Yeah, I've already got a client benefiting from this because we have quite a few clients in finance space. Got a B2B lending client who previously, for collection of social security numbers, were having to take them out of the HubSpot flow just to collect one data point that had to be kept private for that lending application process. So that has just taken a massive headache and a massive roundabout away within just one update. So
that's a great example.
Really useful.
Yeah, great example. So if you're working with charities, finance companies, said medical equipment, a lot of these industries found it very, very difficult to fully adopt HubSpot, and you'd see things like the use of the prospecting space rather than the whole CRM, and then integrated systems. HubSpot's mantra, as probably many people know, is crafted, not cobbled. So it's great to see these additional functionalities coming in. Next up, whizzing through these today, another low impact and public beta. So another one you have to opt into. This is actually expected, it says, in September. Updated email subscription APIs. So again, James, I'll bow to your superior knowledge, but this allows businesses, firms to manage their email subscriptions a little bit more easily through the APIs rather than directly in the user interface. Have I got that right?
That's exactly right, yeah. And this is something that our B2B SaaS clients in particular have been using a lot. Like they've not liked the fact that they've been limited to having their subscription status and things, having to manage that through HubSpot Forms and through the HubSpot email subscription page. It's been very locked down. Part of that is, of course, to make sure that opt-in and opt-out is being done in a genuine, compliant way, but it has been a big barrier for some, especially SaaS clients of ours. And at this point now, they've been able to have it where they have their subscription management within their software. Their customers can manage subscription there, and then with those updates, we then signal with HubSpot to update their status in HubSpot where all the emails come from. So a lot more sort of a simple and clean flow there.
Yeah, that's a great description. So for a lot of the teams that I work with, they've got marketing teams, and marketing teams work in HubSpot, and therefore the forms, the UI, is perfectly fine. But if you've got a highly automated system, if people are doing things on the website, for instance, opting in, opting out, changing subscription preferences and all that kind of thing, it makes that whole thing a lot slicker. Great. Okay, Rich, any view on that? Any additional comment?
No, all good comment so far, James. Good use cases there.
He knows his stuff. I tell you, he's the son I never wanted, but he really does know his stuff. Default membership settings was another thing that we've been talking about as a team between us, actually, quite recently. This says it's in development. I'm not entirely sure what's different from coming soon to in development. But it says, well, maybe it's because I haven't read this. The record includes updates regarding current development efforts for our existing or new products or services. These updates are not intended to be a promise or a guarantee of future availability, merely reflect the current plans. Okay, so I don't know why that's here in that case, why it's on the update screen. Maybe because there's a couple of features come in, I guess. That's what it's saying. Okay, so what is it? Passwordless authentication, self-registration, and automated registration follow-up emails. That's going to be really cool, obviously. If you're using the membership functionality in HubSpot, and Rich, we talk about it with one of our charity clients at the moment, in order for the people who use their services to get access to the website privately and securely, which is a really good use case for that. This obviously is going to be really valuable. James, again, have you guys used this stuff? Have you got any view on why this is even in here as a product update? Have you grasped it yet? Did you manage to read it while I was chopsing?
Yeah, I did. Yeah, I haven't used this for any of our clients yet. Definitely see the value for the charity client that we're working on there with you guys. Like just the fact that the whole process of signing up and the whole membership sign up process made easier. So if you already have an existing network, then getting that network onboarded onto the members portal just becomes a lot simpler by having these processes instead.
Yeah, excellent. Okay, let's have a look at the social calendar. This is going to be a nice one as well. Another medium. This is live, so if you're using your social media tools in HubSpot, you've got a new calendar on mobile. So if you're trying to access these tools on mobile, let's make sure now then, because last time I got this confused. Some of these are mobile UI through browsers, and some of these are through the HubSpot app. This looks like a browser feature. No?
Yep.
Actually, once they update the latest iOS and Android app version, so I'm confused again. That's the app, isn't it? That's the HubSpot app. Those screen views of the HubSpot app. So this according to HubSpot is a game changer. Mobile social calendar for iOS and Android. Obviously, in the social media strategy, just got a whole lot easier. It was impossible to see this like this in the app previously. So another brilliant update to the existing functionality to make the whole thing a lot easier.
Yeah, this is quite a good one to include in the app for marketers, because like up to now the CRM tools within the mobile app have been very much sales team centric, and if there's anything that people are going to be doing on the fly out in the field, maybe they're at an event, it's going to be making social posts, and being able to use that tool through the mobile app when they're out in an exhibition or something like that. That would be a really good use case for this.
That's a very good shout, actually. It is very sales centric, the app. Thinking off the top of my head, I can't think of any marketing teams I know we work with that use the app. Whereas it's kind of a daily thing, it's an everyday piece of kit for the sales teams. So that is interesting, actually. Yeah, that's a good call out. Rich, any views on this?
Well, I mean, I can only double down on what James has said, really. I mean, it's nice to see some features supporting the marketing teams, and this could definitely anything that makes it this kind of interaction with social easier and more timely is going to be a benefit to a lot of marketers for sure.
Yeah.
So they can be a little bit more real time.
Yeah, no, I absolutely agree. Okay, a low impact and a beta that you need to join. Improvements to data sync's unique identifier configuration. That's a bit of a mouthful. So data sync is a bit in the back end of HubSpot that's doing what it says on the tin. Really, it's part of the thing that syncs data between different integrations, different applications within HubSpot itself. This improvement, I'm gonna guess, James, maybe you can talk to it. This improvement is about using it to make it easier for the people who are going to use the data sync and we're going to construct syncs, so they can see it's a little bit easier to see what they're doing. That's the way I read this. Would you concur?
More or less, like it definitely would be used by the people that build the data syncs, but the idea here is that the unique identifier from one system to another you are syncing isn't always going to be what HubSpot is. It's HubSpot, of course, says for contacts it's the email, for companies it's the domain name, for everything else it's HubSpot ID. But that's not always going to be the case when you're integrating with other systems. So if you've got a common ID within both systems, you can use that to do the deduplication when you're syncing from one to the other, which really opens up being able to sync with a lot of other more systems than you otherwise could have, and not having issues when you do so.
Yeah, brilliant. That is a really good use case, actually. The SKUs that you might use in products, if you and this is a daily use case. You might sync HubSpot and the products in HubSpot with something else, with a price configuration tool, for instance, or an ERP even, or anything else. So yeah, that's a really good call. Again, a good call out. It's a powerful setting, it says. It gives control over what will match, but indirectly also to what won't cause matches, which is the thing that you that you really want to look out for. Cool. Okay. It does no matching as well. Yeah, two-way syncs. So is this?
Yeah, I think that's going to be quite powerful.
Go on, Rich. Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, I think it's going to be quite powerful. I mean, James has rightly pointed out how that's going to work with specific, unique identifying records. I mean, I would say that a lot of systems don't use the same. They don't always use email. They might use a customer record or a custom number or any of the above. Anything that makes that data import more about importing data rather than translating the data before you import it is always going to be a good thing.
Yeah.
Because I've spent quite a lot of time what I'd call munging the data.
It's a technical term, ladies and gentlemen. Technical term.
Yes. Yeah, it's a little filthy, but I think it's a good one. So anything that helps with that, and this clearly will. So yeah, I'm backing this one fully. I don't think it's a low impact. I think this is potentially a bigger impact, but it's probably just a low amount of people affected rather than.
Yeah, but they're important people as well, aren't they? Admins are important, right? We love admins. Admins is what we're all about, and if they're doing this work and it is a big improvement for them, then it's right to mention that. So yeah, thanks, Rich. That's a good, very good point. Very good shout. Let's have a look at page 2. We're only looking at the last 7 days updates to remind everybody this is how fast HubSpot is moving. Search on ticket message and comment keywords. Now this is posh. So this is a service hub, and as it says, basically another, it does what it says on the tin. It allows you to search for keywords within comments on ticket messages, which means it's far easier to search through and find what you're looking for. James, have you implemented this anywhere yet?
Nope, have not yet, but definitely can see. I mean, it's sort of self-implementing, but it is going to make things easier. Like, this is a question that does come up a lot. Like, can we search by different things? People obviously have their own things that they think of that they search by, and this is definitely an easy one for this area.
Yeah. So you've got multiple keyword searches on or, which is pretty cool. So search for this term or that term. If you're trying to remember a ticket and you know that it's got a keyword in it, such as a specific customer complaint or a logo or something along those lines, it's going to make it much easier to search for that. And you can see just on this as well, it's not case sensitive, which is really useful. So you don't have to worry too much about matching exactly. Yeah, another really good power up, I guess, for Service Hub. Service Hub doesn't get an awful lot of love, I don't think. People tend to talk about Sales and Marketing Hub a lot, but Service Hub is super powerful, especially now. It's probably fair to say it's a direct competitor for something like Zendesk. It does what Zendesk does, with the added advantage of it being built in HubSpot language, being built in the CRM itself. So if you're on Zendesk with updates like this coming through, I would absolutely recommend you look at Service Hub, if only for the cost saving potential.
Can I ask a question? I've actually got. I can't actually see this update for some reason. Obviously, I've got my dates wrong, or it's just not being.
No. You're probably, if you're looking on your screen, you're probably looking on our screen, and you need to be looking on the Real Inbound demo screen, because not all updates are equal, and the ones that we see in our screen are subject to the subscriptions that we have. So, as James pointed out last week, go into the demo portal allows us to see all of the updates that everybody gets, whoever they are. So you won't see that because we don't have Service Hub.
And you are absolutely correct. But nevertheless, I'm going to ask the question because the question is still vaguely relevant. So the thing there was, remind me what we're talking about again.
We're looking at Service Hub and search on ticket messaging and keywords.
I was actually going to ask, so is HubSpot now indexing more of the records available in each ticket? So he's basically saying before we didn't index the comments, and now the search engine will index the comments, and therefore you can search them as per every other search that you do.
Yes.
Yeah, that's how I take that too.
Yeah, so that's actually quite critical, isn't it? Because the kind of dialogue that you're going to probably have, if it's an extended ticket, is going to be in the comments, one imagines. And then secondly, that's where the most human of language comes out, one would imagine. And therefore, they're the things that will stick in your mind. So that's quite an enablement, I think, to be able to search that. And actually, as it's an enablement, we are now indexing more of the records. Everybody will immediately benefit from that who's using it. So that's a quality feature upgrade, I think.
It's pushing it.
Didn't do it before.
No, but it's again, HubSpot have said that they stated that this year is the year of development. Last year they launched hubs left, right, and center, and this year they've literally been on a tear. You can see how many updates in the last 7 days. They're on a tear to bring these point solutions, these individual tools, up to snuff. And it's sometimes it's the sort of thing you would expect to see, but other times you don't really appreciate what it was you were missing. It's and this is one of those. I think if you're a Service Hub user, if you're a customer success manager or a customer service person, the ability to go, right, what was that? Was that person I was talking about, or talking to, or what was that problem that they mentioned again? I can't, I can remember the keyword, but I can't remember. So it just makes the whole thing very much more powerful. Yeah. Okay, CMS React data fetching. Now this sounds like it's James all day. I'm going to guess this is about. Go on, James. Go for it. Do you want to read it first?
This is doing it.
You've turned into a robot, James.
You might have to stand on one leg with your mobile phone aerial out the window. Oh, you're back. We lost you there for a minute. Do you want to try again?
You got me? Okay. So this is basically if you're building custom modules within.
I think we're going to come back to that one. Hopefully, once James's signal settles down a little bit, because it is quite a technical one on the CMS development side of things, and I have not got a clue what it's talking about. So hopefully he'll pop back in. So let's move on to the next one for a minute until he's back. So we got another new Service Hub feature here, the ability to see other tickets from the same contact. Oh, there's James gone. So it was obviously internet related. He'll pop back in a sec, I'm sure. And in fact, here he is. Can you hear us now, James?
I can, yeah.
We'll hop back to the
Yeah.
React data fetching in a sec. We've moved on to this view other tickets from the same contact in the help desk. So another feature, another great upgrade for Service Hub, sort of thing that you'd expect to be able to see, really. But if a customer is complaining or say needs support, be a bit more polite, because customers are always right, aren't they? They never complain. If customer needs support with multiple issues and maybe with multiple teams, is a great way to know what's going on here. And just the ones that you can see there, for instance, they've got a password reset issue that's been open for 4 minutes. They haven't received their last shipment, which was closed previously, and they had order issues previously as well. So as the customer success manager, I immediately know I've got the context of this conversation. I know what this person's been about. I know what help they need. I know what help that they've had. Just presents such a professional perspective from a company viewpoint. I think this is Rose. Oh, the Rose is the owner, I think, actually. Celia Brooks, made up name, obviously. Celia, I can see you had an issue with your last shipment. Oh, that must be so frustrating. The ability to have these informed conversations with people is absolute gold dust.
Yeah, 100%. And perhaps there'll be a situation where someone logs a ticket twice, 2 different people are working on it at the same time.
Good shout.
That's just useful for coordinating better.
Yeah, good. Let's attempt, while we've got you, let's attempt that React data fetching again. James, we didn't catch any of it, so if you want to take it from the top on this.
Yep, we'll do. So this is sort of about, if you've got a website on HubSpot CMS, then you may want to have custom modules in there that talk to other systems and pull other data in. Like we've got a client that does quotes for flood insurance, for instance, and they have a module on the website where you can fill out your information and then it will talk to all their different partners and bring back the best quotes and display them on the page in real time. So this is basically a way of using the React technology to be able to do that in a smooth and efficient way. And obviously that could be relevant for all different sorts of use cases on your website if you're using HubSpot or CMS. Very
nice. Very, very, you made that so easy to understand, because when I read it, I had no idea what he was talking about. Thank you for that. This one's a bit more up my street. Content. Using podcast transcripts to suggest titles, descriptions, and artwork. Now, I don't know what you feel about AI and particularly its use in content production, but this feels like it could be extremely useful. You've recorded it, you've uploaded it, it's transcribed, and now HubSpot is going to be suggesting what you might want to do with your title, your descriptions, and the artwork. The descriptions is the one that always bugs me. I can never be bothered to write a description. So I find AI is really useful for that, especially if it's working on what you've been talking about, So there's no actual AI content generation as such. It's literally just working from the transcription. So again, you'll get this in a lot of video editors if you use Scenery or you use not so much iMovie, but Descript and that kind of thing. That these sorts of functionalities are regularly found. It's great to see it coming into HubSpot. I wonder how prevalent the podcast tool actually is. I wonder how many people are using it. If you're watching this now or on the recording, I'd love to know if you use HubSpot podcasts as opposed to maybe uploading directly to Spotify or Apple or using another podcasting tool, Spotify Podcast, for instance. It doesn't appear to be terribly flexible as a tool. Which might be why things like this are good. The typical HubSpot playbook. Let's get it out, let's ship it, and then let's improve it over a period of time. I found the artwork prompts to be really lacking, particularly, trying to develop artwork for a podcast title screen. But it is something to be said for really quickly organizing podcasts, whacking them into HubSpot and into the podcast tool itself, and then being able to deploy them into blogs or onto a podcast listing page is really cool. I just wonder how you then go about generating your audience. If you're not available in, or I guess you wouldn't preclude availability in Spotify or Apple or something by using it. But it would just be a question of sort of feeding it from here into the other tools. Manually transcribing podcast episodes is a time-consuming process, it says. So that's more or less, sums up what I just said.
Yeah.
So pop the file in, navigate to the episode details, upload the VVT file, the video file, or generate a transcript, and the AI assistant then will do it. This is Content Pro, Content Enterprise, Marketing Plus Pro, and Marketing Plus Enterprise, an enterprise customer platform, professional customer platform. So you have to have Content Pro, in other words, in order to be able to do this stuff, which is also a bit of a swizz, especially if you're still on CMS, the old legacy CMS, and you've got HubSpot's building your website. You won't have functionality like this unless you upgrade to Content Hub, which I think is a bit miserable, really, because some of the things in there are really good.
I agree with that, and I think it's slightly problematic because you've got this kind of unlocking functionality with CMS Hub. Obviously, that enables you to build obviously a website, but use the tools that are available to you in that, and then also all of a sudden they've diverged sort of two concepts: the actual building, the actual mechanics of a website, and then the actual creation of the content. And in doing so, they've left one of those really, really poor, i.e. the CMS side is then quite poor at that point.
Yeah.
That's I think that reflects your disappointment, and I think it's something that it's kind of one of those legacy unfortunates. I think
it'll disappear. It's a bit like a wave, isn't it? It'll dissipate over time, as the only way to get into HubSpot will be to buy Content Hub, whereas before you were able to buy CMS Hub. That's gone now. It's like the new seats pricing. That we're going to have another little tsunami around that now, because they're starting to migrate clients over. So it's not just for new people now. Then it's existing HubSpot users are going to start seeing the new prices for their renewals coming through on a different basis. But again, that'll subside as well, I'm sure.
And that's going to be really interesting for some clients. I mean, I've got a few. We've got access to a few portals that have got quite complex legacy arrangements, and those arrangements can be what hubs you've got, but also the lot of extras that you need in order to make your particular version of your particular world work. Like, we need more marketing contacts, or we need an additional subscription that they've managed to sign up for just that one thing. I can't remember it. I can't remember one off the top of my head, but quite complex.
No, absolutely, yeah. I think that's exactly what we're looking at. And historically, you'll see portals with legacy Sales Hub. You see it less and less, and I think that's one of the reasons for the change to seat pricing. I know we've deviated away a little bit, but the change to seat pricing was meant to clean a lot of that up. HubSpot obviously feel is going to be a lot easier to manage those intricate subscriptions by doing them on a seats basis rather than by grandfathering previous deals through into renewals and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, agreed.
James, anything to add on that before we skip on?
I mean, just generally across the board, like I quite like these AI features, because in onboarding projects I've had before, getting the content, getting the copy from somebody, that has always been the most painful part, because it is time consuming.
Yeah.
And that goes for ongoing use of the portal as well. So having a shortcut with that, even if you don't have to tweak it around the edges to get it the way you want it, is always easier than looking at a blank page.
This is what I mean. They're brilliantly powerful. They're brilliantly powerful. And say that's in a way why I'm so disappointed that you have to buy, you have to upgrade to Content Hub to get them. I get it, totally get it. I totally get it. And we've done it ourselves. It's worth it. If you've got the money to do it, then I highly recommend you doing it. Okay, this is an interesting one. It says low impact, but this is another one that's affected us. They seem to be all about Real Inbound this week, the updates. Previously, you've been able to integrate invoices from in one direction, basically, from HubSpot into QuickBooks, or I think actually it's from QuickBooks into HubSpot. So if you have invoices for a customer, you'll see them. But it's caused all sorts of problems previously. The integration causes problems because you don't see exactly what you need to see. And I believe it even creates duplicate invoices in QuickBooks when it sends them through. So this sounds like it's going to clean that up quite dramatically. So you're going to be able to see your invoices synced. So in your HubSpot invoice section and your QuickBooks invoice section, you'll see exactly the same thing. So you'll have the same invoices, same description, same invoice numbers, both sides, which is then a true integration rather than just the ability to push something into another software. Anything to add on that one, James?
Yeah, actually, because I have had a couple of situations where we've got clients who they want their sales team, of course, live in HubSpot, their accounts team live in QuickBooks. They don't necessarily want their sales team to have access to QuickBooks, but they also don't want, and their accounts team don't want to have to go into HubSpot. So yeah, it is just nice that they can live where they should be working, but still have that continuity.
Yeah, excellent. I'm conscious of time as well, guys. I want to try and keep us to the hour, so I'm skipping through a bit. Share HubSpot reports with your app. This is another one that we need to join into. Low impact, but another one I think is probably quite for the individual user, like Richard was talking about earlier. If this is going to benefit you, it will really benefit you. So the ability now to see a report in the app and then bang, push it to wherever you need it to be. So you can see you can send it through Slack into specific channels, for instance. I think that's a really nice little bit of functionality. Say relatively low impact unless you're using it.
Yeah, exactly, and it's more targeted to the app developers. So, like obviously Slack and other major integrations, they're going to immediately start adopting this so that people can get HubSpot reports into their third-party systems. But yeah, a really nice change to what you can put into your own third-party tools.
There's a bigger issue around this. I use quite a few little productivity tools. I use something called Sidekick, which allows me to clean up my data in Slack. So I get a notification that a new contact has been created. Say somebody's come in through the email integration or something. And I do things like add the lawful basis for processing, add the persona, if they haven't got a first name or a last name. And I can do all that in Slack, and that syncs straight into HubSpot. I've got another tool I'm using called Celestial. And Celestial pulls all the deals out of HubSpot and scours my email inbox and matches emails to deals. There's loads of stuff like this that are kind of syncing up and integrating with these productivity tools. I think that we'll see a lot more of as time goes on. And they're like they've just fixed friction, they're small little things. But my Slack pings when somebody gets added and I go, there you go, click, 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 click. And that data record then is as I need it to be, I think that's really powerful. Okay, a couple more by the looks of it. We've got import users into any HubSpot account from your app. Wow. This feels like it's potentially a biggie. I think we've lost James again. So Rich, you're our CRM and data munger. Was that the word that we were talking about earlier? This looks like it will allow you to import from the app. So you don't have to do it on the desktop anymore. If you're mobile and you need to get something happening Toot Suite, you can just the whole process is transferred into the HubSpot mobile app.
Well, clearly that's going to be useful in some cases. That's going to be incredibly useful, I would say. I mean, look, anything that adds flexibility into these areas and just enables more sort of uses without having to find workarounds, because this is something you would find a workaround.
Yeah.
And the fact that it can now be done easily is, these kind of little, as you were just talking about, these little productivity hacks are they are the things that make things efficient, and they are going to be, long term, very small but very cumulative upgrades. So, yeah, there's another one of those, really, I think.
Yeah. James, as our token young person, you're probably somebody who lives in their mobile phone. Is that what the kids call it these days? So I guess any functionality, additional functionality to the app. But this one sounds pretty important. So you're going to be able to use effectively the desktop experience to import users into HubSpot via your mobile. That's pretty cool, I think.
That's not really how I mean, in the context of apps, this is more not just mobile apps, but in terms of apps as in systems overall. So, like, if you basically have other systems where you've got to add people as users, then you can sort of then migrate from those users from that platform into HubSpot and set them up as users in there in one kind of sort of like full import. So I sort of see this as like it could be if you're migrating from one system to another and you want to pull all the users from, say, Salesforce into HubSpot within one go, then it could be a useful thing for that, or really for any system, any comparable system, or indeed it could be for like new onboardings of people. You add them in one place and then you can then import them into all your other different apps and have them set up within their different systems.
Yeah, nice. Good pickup again, James. Yeah, we're slightly off piece there with what we talked about. You can see you're making your public app available in the import screen, which is that thing there. So yeah, completely cross purposes there, everybody. Sorry about that. James saved us once again. And you can see it's available for public apps. So it's not available if you've got a private app, but even more powerful than I thought it was, actually. Thinking it was just about ease of use and an improved UI. It's actually going to allow you, as James said, to pull in users from Salesforce, from your own app, from anywhere, which is really cool. Okay, date time properties in HubSpot. You'll now be able to create date time properties in HubSpot CRM, expanding the types of data you can store across the smart CRM. Why does it matter? The new field type allows you to get more insights from your CRM about when something happened. Use cases include manual edit time to capture when something happened across the CRM, require a date time property when a deal is created, and copy over property values between default and custom date time properties via a workflow. James, another very technical one. This is going to apply to people who need to get very, very detailed on reports. They're going to want to know things like sales velocities. They're going to want to know how long workflows and what impact workflows are having on progress through deal stages and all that kind of stuff, right? Is there any use cases you can think of that we could illustrate this with?
I mean, yeah, this is millions for sure. Like, I mean, a date stamp on its own is not always going to be enough to like record when an action has happened or an event has happened. There's a lot of people that have moved from other CRMs, and I mean, I'm not generally very critical of HubSpot across the board, but I think this is one that's really been a long time coming.
Okay.
Capturing date and time to that granular level of date and time, that is just so important. Like, you could have situations where you need to record in a series of events in a business process exactly when something happened, and maybe you want to delay and trigger events off of a particular time when something happened, rather than just triggering something on a particular day at an arbitrary time. So, for example, if you wanted to have someone receiving a piece of content at the exactly a week after in terms of day and time of them doing an action, you would be able to do that, whereas previously it would be, oh, I know this happened on this date, so at some time on 7 days later we'll do this next thing. So yeah, lots of use cases for that.
There was actually an app, I think, that used to do it, one of the Happily apps. So that shows that it was required. the fact that somebody built an app. HubSpot's slowly shooting down the the app marketplace to bring all these app features in internally. Excellent.
Yeah.
Rich, you got anything you'd like to add to that one?
Well, no, but it's fairly. Well, I don't understand why HubSpot hadn't got that function.
As James said, yeah, absolutely.
I can see in software development that's pretty much, as James said, there's millions of use cases for something like that.
Cool, awesome.
So that'd be good.
Well, thank you, gentlemen. It's a pleasure to have you on, and as always, have somebody who knows what they're talking about HubSpot, as opposed to me on my own, which would be great. If you're one of our Sidekick users, one of our subscribers to our community, you will get this video in your HubSpot updates later on today. It'll appear magically in your Sidekick. If you're on LinkedIn and you come across it and you watch it, I hope it was of value, and we look forward to welcoming you to the same time next week for the next update. Thanks again, guys. Great to see you, and see you all next week.
See you soon. Have a good day, everyone. Bye-bye.